water from which springs all life, but which can also turn into a deadly killer. Villages after villages in Odisha, Bengal and Madhya Pradesh are falling victims to contaminated toxic water.
पोखरी का पानी पहले साफ था कि नहीं था मालूम नहीं था। 1 घंटा के अंदर अंदर मेरा स्त्री डेड हो गया।
Arsenic and fluoride, two major groundwater pollutants claiming victims day after day, spreading death and disease in these neglected villages.
4 महीने का था जब इसको झटके आए। हमें लगता है कि ये पानी की वजह से ही हमारे बच्चा ऐसा आज तक पड़ा हुआ है।
No safe drinking water in hundreds of Indian villages as administration chooses to look the other way. Hello and a warm welcome to another edition of Ground Report, your one-stop window that gets you grassroots stories from the remote corners of the country. There's also a program which puts a spotlight on the issues that do not figure very prominently in the mainstream media. Our today's focus is water contamination due to metalloids like nitrate, fluoride and arsenic. We take you to the toxic zones of the country, starting with Odisha's Ganjam district, where fluoride contamination led to the deaths of 5 people in a single day. What's the actual situation on the ground? Pranab Goswami gets you this top story.
This is the killer pond in Odisha's Jagannath Prasad village of Ganjam district. 5 people died in a single day after consuming water from this pond. The contaminated water has even left hundreds of people sick.
दर्शन के लिए गया था उधर पोखरी का पानी पहले साफ था कि नहीं था मालूम नहीं था। वही पानी सेवन करके हम तो 1 घंटा के अंदर अंदर मेरा स्त्री डेड हो गया। तो मेडिकल लेके जाते जाते मेडिकल में डेड हुआ।
वो हमारा घर का बाजू वाला वो एक बंदा में पानी पिया था, पानी पी के उसको पहले हुआ, उसको होने के बाद फिर हम लोगों को भी थोड़ा थोड़ा है कि हम लोगों को पूरा हो गया 3 आदमी को।
तो पानी बहुत गंदा है।
हाँ वो पूरा गंदा पानी है।
It's a double whammy for the villagers. The government claims that water from few hand pumps installed by the administration is safe to drink. But people are skeptical of consuming water from hand pumps due to high level of fluoride and iron content in the groundwater. They prefer water from the ponds, but now even that is turning out to be poisonous. For now, there doesn't seem to be a source of safe drinking water for the villagers.
ट्यूबवेल बोरवेल जितना भी है ट्यूबवेल वेल उसको भी पानी में जांच करना चाहिए था सरकार को, लेकिन वो नहीं किया। वो गंदे पानी की वजह से तो हमारा यहाँ पर बीमार फैलते हैं, मलेरिया प्रोन एरिया है और यहाँ पर स्वास्थ्य सेवा भी बहुत अनियमित है।
Due to their own habits, they use those unconventional water sources. It is only their habit.
जिस जगह पर आयरन का प्रॉब्लम है, people are not using those tubewells, and as an alternative they are going to the ponds.
As 2,657 habitations in the state do not have safe drinking water supply due to contamination of fluoride and heavy metals at the source, the Union Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation had given a target to the state government to provide safe drinking water to 800 villages during the current fiscal. As per the progress report of the state, about 118 villages affected by water contamination have been provided with safe drinking water from nearby sources. On the recommendation of Niti Aayog, the centre sanctioned 1,000 crore for mitigation of drinking water quality problems in arsenic and fluoride affected habitations in the fiscal 2016-17. Odisha's share was paltry 2 crore from the central assistance. With Pranab Goswami signing off a ground report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Staying on with Eastern India, we now take you to Bengal, which you'll be shocked to know it tops the list when it comes to the number of persons affected by arsenic. It's a whopping 1.04 crore, and this is the figure which has come down to March 2017. These are the latest figures. Despite all the efforts by the government to curb the arsenic menace, lots still needs to be done. What's the situation in Bengal's Howrah district? Find out through this report.
83 blocks across 8 districts in West Bengal, struggling to come out of the clutches of groundwater contaminated by arsenic. People have been protesting in vain, but for the last 30 years, Howrah Municipal Corporation has not been able to provide safe drinking water. The issue has become a major health concern.
हावड़ा शहर के बारे में तो हम ये कहना चाहेंगे, जब से मल्टी स्टोरियल बिल्डिंग बनने लगी है तो बिल्डिंग के लोगों को पानी चाहिए, तो पानी जब चाहिए तो ये पानी के लिए जब बोरिंग की व्यवस्था की जाती है तो चूंकि ज़मीन में ही ये दुष्प्रभाव बना हुआ है तो वो उसके माध्यम से लोगों के अंदर में पहुंचता है.
Children seem to be the worst hit due to arsenic contamination.
जो लोग बोरिंग का जो पानी है उससे हम लोग नहा रहे हैं, धो रहे हैं, उससे हम लोग को बहुत सारा इन्फेक्शन हो रहा है. उसको जो 2-3 जन उसको जो पी ले रहा है इलाका भर, उसको पीने से पानी हम लोग शरीर में इन्फेक्शन कर रहा है.
In 2017, West Bengal topped the list with the highest number of arsenic-affected cases, a whopping 1.04 crore persons affected, followed by Bihar with 16.88 lakh persons and Assam with 14.48 lakh victims. State government claims to provide safe drinking water to 52% people in West Bengal. But the reality is that water treatment plants have been set up at a slow pace and the technology to remove arsenic is rather new and expensive.
तो हम लोग सरफेस वाटर की ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल करते हैं, इसीलिए तो हम लोग का इधर आर्सेनिक का प्रॉब्लम ऐसी है नहीं. कोई केस हम हावड़ा कॉर्पोरेशन की जुरिसडिक्शन के अंडर हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट अभी तक रिपोर्टेड हुआ नहीं.
Trinamool Congress has claimed in its 2016 election manifesto that 91% of the population of arsenic-affected areas in the state have been provided with clean drinking water. The website of the Public Health Engineering Department also claims that arsenic contamination is getting under control. But when will Bengal become arsenic-free is anybody's guess. With Bureau Inputs, signing off for Ground Report.
From West Bengal, we now take you to the Chhindwara district of Madhya Pradesh, where a huge number of cases of skeletal fluorosis are on the rise. If you look at the actual situation, people are suffering from not only skeletal fluorosis, but also dental fluorosis. And added to this is their poverty, which does not help them to get a fair treatment. In fact, the things have reached almost a crescendo, and the situation has really gone out of hand. Take a look at this report. These are snapshots of villagers from Madhya Pradesh's Chhindwara district where childhoods have become helpless, innocent adults have become deformed, and silent souls roaming around as chronic victims of malnutrition. For these people in Chhindwara's villages, life-giving water has turned into the harbinger of death and disease.
4 महीने का था जब इसको झटके आने के बाद हमने सिंगोली से छिंदवाड़ा प्राइवेट अस्पताल में शिफ्ट किए. इसको शिफ्ट करने के बाद उन्होंने कोई इलाज इसका नहीं बताया. हमें लगता है कि ये पानी की वजह से ही हमारे बच्चा ऐसा आज तक पड़ा हुआ है.
इससे दांत खराब हो रहे हैं जो जैसे, और हड्डियों की बीमारी हो रही है, और खुजली की बीमारी खास यहाँ पे चल रही, जो इसका इलाज यहाँ नामुमकिन है. बड़े बड़े डॉक्टरों के पास जाके इलाज करवा चुके लेकिन उसमें आराम नहीं लग रहा.
High levels of fluoride in the groundwater in Singodi and nearby villages have left villagers with no choice but to consume contaminated water. Fluorosis in Chhindwara is not well known to many in India, yet there seems to be an endless stream of skeletal fluorosis.
शुरुआती इसमें फ्लोरोसिस में क्या होता है, टीथ इन्वॉल्वमेंट होता है, और इसके बाद फिर स्केलेटन पूरा जो बोन पार्ट्स हैं, पूरे बॉडी में बोन्स जो हैं, वहाँ पर कैल्शियम की जगह पे फ्लोराइड डिपॉजिट होने लगता है. इससे पूरी सारी हड्डियाँ कमज़ोर होने लगती हैं और बहुत ही नाजुक हो जाती हैं और आर्थराइटिस जैसी प्रॉब्लम्स होने लगती हैं.
As per World Health Organization, the permissible levels of fluoride in drinking water should be between 0.6 to 1.5 milligrams per litre. However, in many deep aquifers in Chhindwara, the levels are between 1.60 to 20 milligrams per litre, much above the permissible limits.
गांव वालों को जो कुएं खुदे हैं पंचायत के, उससे और जो
ट्यूबवेल थे, दोनों को पानी मिलाकर पेयजल प्रदान किया जा रहा था, जिसमें फ्लोराइड की मात्रा अंडर लिमिट थी। लेकिन अभी कुछ दिनों से ये ज्ञात हुआ है कि जो कुएं का पानी था वो समाप्त हो गया है।
Government claims that it has spent lakhs of rupees on the water treatment, but still there is no hope for a healthy life in Chhindwara. With Bureau Input, signing off for Ground Report. So these are just a few toxic zones which we showed you, but let me tell you there are about 14 majorly affected zones which are citing the cases of fluoride and arsenic contamination. Let's go across now to Pranav Goswami, who's just returned from Orissa, bringing you that water contamination story from Ganjam. What's the actual scenario in Odisha? What is really happening over there on the ground? Because the problem of unsafe water exists and the things don't seem to be moving along.
Yeah, Neelu, you are absolutely right. But government is claiming that they have done tremendous work in past years. But the ground reality is very harsh. People don't have access to pipeline water supply, and there are thousands of water pipeline projects which are pending or which are incomplete. Government has also claimed that they have set up tube wells, but those tube wells in certain areas are either dysfunctional or they are dried up due to the decreasing water level. So the villagers are depending on the muddy ponds, and water from those sources are very polluted and polluted, and they are that is the reason that that is having an adverse impact on the health of those villagers also.
But talking to you specifically about the Odisha government, because you've just come back from there, and taking Odisha as the case study, what is the kind of progress you see over there when it comes to the rehabilitation of the piped water supply? Because I remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi also in 2014 had said that we really aim to phase out the tube wells, phase out the groundwater hand pumps, and bring in the piped water supply. Why is the progress so slow over there?
Progress is very slow. There are many reasons, because if you talk about Odisha, there are many villages which are very backward, and some districts are most affected also. So government is saying that these projects are pending because they are not the most, because of that problems, they are not able to complete it on time. But if you talk about other reports, the facts says that even in state governments, Odisha's CAG audit report, that says that there are irregularities also. So that clearly shows that there is the government is not very keen to provide the water pipeline supply and the access of clean drinking water. There are some places where pipeline supply is reached, but those pipelines are very old, and there are no repair after the setup of pipelines. That has not been repaired for many years.
Okay.
So sometimes what happens that the sewage water that also gets mixed with the drinking water. So the villagers are facing real problems as far as the drinking water is concerned.
Odisha is a poor state where the levels of awareness, they are not very high. But what about the awareness when it comes to water contamination, availability of safe water for the people? Are the people really aware that they need to bank on safe water?
So this is, we have to get the answer politically of this, because we know that in Odisha, the BJP government has been ruling for last more than 18 years, 19 years. So villagers
the
mostly... The BJD. Yeah, so now people have started showing their anger that they are very unhappy that they have been voting to the one particular government, but they have not performed well, and no development work for many years have taken place. So maybe because government has also realized that they can face anti-incumbency in coming elections, so government is trying to do something now because of that vote bank policy. But if you talk about policies, if you talk about to deliver the basic amenities like drinking water, the clean drinking water, government has totally failed, what I have observed during my report.
So it's very clear that The availability of safe drinking water has a potential of becoming an important political weapon in the coming elections.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Pranav, for the updates. So you can, when it comes to the availability of safe drinking water, we can easily say that it's a work in progress, but the governments need to do a lot when it comes to creating awareness amongst the people. Time now for us to slip into a short break. On the other side, we take you to Western Uttar Pradesh and bring before you the crisis of the agroforestry sector. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Ground Report and time now for a reporter's diary. Remember in 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had urged the farmers to undertake timber plantation along the edges of their field to diversify their income and also to reduce their dependence on regular crop agriculture. We now take you to Western Uttar Pradesh, which once upon a time was a huge base for the poplar growing farmers. It became a regular and consistent source of income for them. But in today's times, when there is a huge gap in the demand and supply and when the prices have come crashing down, these poplar growing farmers are going through a very unpopular phase. Arvind Kumar Singh with this exclusive report. Vast stretches of the land covered with poplar and eucalyptus trees in Western Uttar Pradesh's Saharanpur district. These have been the basis of a prosperous and contented agroforestry. Soft timber of this category of flora is widely used in plywood, sports and paper industries. But the farmers involved in this industry are now forced to quit growing the softwood because of the continuous crashing of the prices for the last 3 years. And demonetization became the last nail in the coffin for these farmers.
साइड में जो है यूकेलिप्टस पॉपुलर लगा के वो 5 साल में अपनी इतनी इनकम कर लिया था जिससे वो अपना कोई भी काम कर सके था। अब जो है उसके लिए समस्या आ गई क्योंकि अब जो है दाम नहीं मिल पा रहे। उधर तो फसल भी थोड़ा सा डाउन होती है इस पेड़ से और उसके बाद जो है इसके मंदे के कारण।
3 years ago, 1 quintal of softwood fetched 1,500 rupees, which now has come crashing down to 300 to 500 rupees. Cost of production remaining the same, it's a big jolt for the agroforestry farmers. Agroforestry became popular in UP's sugarcane belt since 1980s. In 1980, match company Wimco began promoting agroforestry for the first time. In 1988, a huge campaign was launched by ITC and Star Paper Mill. Many farmers have earned up to 15 lakh per annum from poplar and eucalyptus. However, with a slump in industrial production, the mood among these farmers is grim.
पहले तो बहुत अच्छी थी ताकि इसका भाव अच्छा था, किसान बेचारा अपनी 2 ईंट भी लगा लेता, बहू बेटे की शादी भी कर लेता, 10 रुपये इकट्ठा जाता, भाव अच्छा था। लेकिन अब तो बिल्कुल पिट गया जी, लगभग हो गए जी 3-4 साल।
Problem with poplar is that the farmers cannot delay its harvesting as it gets damaged if not felled on time. However, despite 50% fall in poplar prices, the prices of plywood remain the same and the owners of the plywood industry are making the most of the helplessness of these farmers.
जब मार्केट में रेट लकड़ी का गिर जाता है तो थोड़ा सा मोटिवेशनल इफेक्ट आता है, लोगों का इंटरेस्ट कम होता है, फिर वो ट्रेडिशनल क्रॉप पर ज़्यादा जाते हैं। लेकिन जो बाउंड्री वाली प्लांटेशन वो कभी नहीं रुकती है, क्योंकि बाउंड्री अगर वो नहीं करते हैं तो वो ज़मीन उनका अच्छा। दूसरे सबसे बड़ी देखिए सर इंक्रोचमेंट का भी है।
Intrusion of foreign technologies has also played a role in bringing down the prices of the timber. For example, the introduction of Chinese peeling machines, which can peel thinner logs as compared to the traditional processes, has meant more quantity of raw wood can be extracted from each poplar tree. As a result, plywood industries are procuring less raw wood. This has further reduced the poplar prices.
ज़्यादातर तो प्लाईवुड में आते थे ये पॉपुलर ड्यू टू सम फैक्टर्स, कोई इंपोर्ट की फैक्टर हो सकती है या कोई और जगह वो ज़्यादा प्लाई बनने लगे हों। कंपटीशन में जमुनानगर पिछड़ रहा है प्लाईवुड में, कुछ फैक्ट्रियां बंद हो गई हैं।
Poplar growers from the sugarcane belt have always banked on agroforestry because of the crisis in sugarcane growing. Many times agitations have been launched demanding a minimum support price for poplar, but governments have shown complete apathy towards them. With Arvind Kumar Singh signing off for Ground Report. these sugarcane growing farmers from the western Uttar Pradesh belt are already facing a crisis, and when poplar prices have come down, they are completely disillusioned. Let's go across to Arvind Kumar Singh, who got this story for us. Arvind, how serious is the problem actually on the ground? Because what a 3-minute story cannot completely say what the actual situation is. What did you actually see when you spoke to the farmers there?
देखिए नीलू जी, जब ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन का ये इलाका है और ये जो इकोनॉमी का इनका जो एक तरह से बैकबोन था वो शुगर केन था। 2000 के बाद जो है शुगर केन में भी बहुत क्राइसिस आई, पेमेंट इरेगुलर है और आपने अभी देखा होगा कि 21,000 करोड़ रुपए का पूरे देश भर में जब शुगर केन का पेमेंट रहा बकाया, उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा इसी इलाके में था। तो धीरे धीरे इन किसानों को लगा, ये शुरुआत तो 1980 में हुई लेकिन ये पॉपुलर नहीं हुआ, ये पॉपुलर धीरे धीरे हुआ है। उनको लगा कि ये जो है हमारी इकोनॉमी को स्टेबल करने में मदद करेगा और ये पॉपुलर जो है और यूकलिप्टस, ये दोनों, इनको एक मार्केट मिली हरियाणा में, जो कि टिम्बर और जो प्लाईवुड इंडस्ट्री है इनमें। स्टेट ने, उत्तर प्रदेश ने कुछ किया नहीं उसमें, क्योंकि अगर उन्होंने किया होता, अगर आज ये सपोर्ट, तो आज ये स्थिति नहीं आती। आज प्राइसेस डाउन है पिछले 3 सालों से, और जो 1500 रुपये क्विंटल थे वो गिर करके जो है वो 300 रुपये, 350 रुपये पर आ गए हैं।
लेकिन जब प्राइसेस इतने कम हो गए हैं और ऑब्वियसली बहुत सारे एजिटेशंस भी इस चीज़ को लेके हुए हैं, टाइम टू टाइम उन्होंने सेंटर को अपनी बात भी कहने की कोशिश की है, और जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी कह रहे थे कि बहुत सारा टिम्बर फार्मिंग को हम इनकरेज करेंगे, तो क्या सरकार ने ऐसे कोई कदम उठाए हैं जिसकी वजह से किसान मोटिवेट हो कि हाँ ठीक है अब हम टिम्बर फार्मिंग करते हैं?
नहीं, देखिए अभी तक जो कदम उठे हैं वो तो प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स ने उठाए हैं। विमको ने, जो माचिस का कारखाना था वो बंद हो चुका है। इसके बाद स्टार पेपर मिल, स्टेट ने जो मतलब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में जो फॉरेस्ट रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट है FRI, उसने नई वेराइटीज़ में नए उसमें काम किया है। लेकिन इनका जो क्राइसिस है किसानों का, उससे निपटने के लिए स्टेट ने कोई काम नहीं किया, ना सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने किया, क्योंकि आखिर एक कमोडिटी जो है उसका प्राइस, उसके दाम अगर 1500 रुपये से 300 पे आ जाएंगे, 250-350 पे आ जाएंगे, तो उसमें किसानों को बचाने के लिए जो स्टेट का इंटरवेंशन होना चाहिए था वो नहीं हुआ है। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये जो अभी ये समय है कि अगर इसमें इंटरवेंशन नहीं हुआ तो ये एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री, जिसको जो है प्राइम मिनिस्टर चाहते हैं कि 2022 में अगर एग्रीकल्चर इनकम डबल करनी है तो आपको एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री ले आना, तो वो फेल हो जाएगा। एक सक्सेसफुल मॉडल फेल होने के कगार पर खड़ा है।
लेकिन क्या कारण है, जब हम सरकार के तरफ से जो उनका पक्ष है और उनसे जब सुनते हैं तो वो सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड्स की बात करते हैं, वो किसानों के इंश्योरेंस की बात करते हैं, बातों बातों में ये ज़रूर नज़र आता है कि टिम्बर फार्मिंग को एनकरेज किया जाए, लेकिन कैसे किया जाए ये रोड मैप बहुत ज़्यादा क्लियर नहीं है। तो इसको कैसे करेगी सरकार? क्या पॉसिबल है कि इंटरवेंशन स्कीम्स इसमें लाई जाए?
अभी भी सरकार ने एक नई योजना शुरू की है, उसका नाम है पेड़ पर मेड़।
अच्छा,
यानी जो स्मॉल और मार्जिनल फार्मर्स हैं वो ऐसा करें। तो लेकिन सवाल ये है कि आप जो बड़े किसान हैं, जो 15 लाख रुपए, 20 लाख रुपए महीने की साल की इनकम करते थे, वो तो सड़क पर आ गए, उनका प्रोडक्ट खरीदा नहीं जा रहा है।
ओके।
तो बेसिकली क्या है कि चाहे वो एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री का मामला हो या और ऐसे जल्दी ख़राब होने वाले जो प्रोडक्ट हैं, उनका एक कम से कम स्टेबिलिटी आनी चाहिए किसानों के बीच में, कि कोई दाम अगर गिरता भी है तो 1500 का 1400 हो जाएगा तो बियर कर लेगा वो, लेकिन 1500 का अगर 300, 350 हो जाएगा तो बियर नहीं करेगा। तो मुझे लगता है ये सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को जो प्राइस पॉलिसी है उसमें ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है, और स्टेट को तुरंत इंटरवीन करने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि यूपी गवर्नमेंट ने इसको नोटिस में ही नहीं लिया अब तक। जी, तो ये नहीं, अदरवाइज जो है ये डिमोरलाइज हो रहा है, ये उसकी खेती छोड़ देंगे, और आने वाले समय में जब आपको टिम्बर की ज़रूरत होगी तो वो मिलेगा नहीं, जो है ये है दिक्कत यहाँ। जी,
थैंक यू सो मच Arvind for joining us on the program. Remember, we are already seeing a phase where the farmers are undergoing a period of crisis. A lot of farmers from various corners of the country are coming together on a common platform to take on the government. All eyes would be on how the government treats the poplar growing farmers as well. Time now for a regional window, this time coming from Kerala. Remember, this is a South Indian state which has always led the way when it comes to the promotion of the rights of the third gender, that is the transgender community. From offering government jobs to holding athletic meets, Kerala has always led the way. It has always worked towards the inclusivity of the transgender community. And this state has added another feather to its cap by holding the first ever transgender beauty pageant. How was this possible? Find out through this report.
A beauty pageant with a difference. These beauties rocking the ramp are proud participants of a first-of-its-kind beauty contest, Queen of Dwaya, held for the transgender community, giving out a clear message of equality and acceptance for all. The beauty pageant was organized in Kerala, where 16 participants walked the ramp. The contest was attended by prominent personalities from all walks of life, including senior leaders of the ruling party of the state, CPIM. The pageant was won by Shama, a 25-year-old Malayalam language postgraduate.
കേരളത്തിൽ ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണ് ട്രാൻസ്ജെൻഡേഴ്സിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടൊരു ബ്യൂട്ടി പേജൻറ്റ് സംഘടിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. അതിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ അഭിമാനിക്കുന്നു. ബിക്കോസ് ട്രാൻസ്ജെൻഡേഴ്സ് തഴയപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ ട്രാൻസ്ജെൻഡേഴ്സിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ള ഉദ്ദേശ ലക്ഷ്യത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ് ഞങ്ങളിവിടെ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്.
In the first phase of the pageant, 300 contestants participated in 3 different areas of the state, out of which 16 were selected for the finale in Kochi. The pageant is being viewed as an inclusive move aimed at empowering and encouraging the transgender community that has been pushed to the fringes of the society. When it comes to the promotion of rights of the third gender, Kerala seems to be leading the way. Kochi Metro recently became the first government agency to hire 23 transgenders.
Another noteworthy aspect of this project is that nearly 1,000 women and 23 transgenders are being selected to work in the Kochi Metro rail system.
In April, a first-ever athletic meet for transgenders were held in Thiruvananthapuram, where 130 athletes participated and became a runway hit. Well, way to go to break one glass ceiling after another. With Bureau Inputs, signing off for Ground Report.
We've often spoken about the power of 49, but I think it's high time now we start talking about the power of the transgender community. Time now to wrap this edition of Ground Report. Do not forget to send us your feedback on feedbackgroundreport@gmail.com. If at all you feel there is an issue in your area or in your region, RSTV will send the cameras right there. Goodbye and thanks for your time.